And we're back. Welcome back, friends. FRENS. Friends. Got some chill hop music on in the background. That's how I'm feeling. That's right, folks. Maybe we can zoom in a bit on this bit here. Oops. Time for work. Let's get some inking done. This is pretty nice. Look at that. This is what you call a silhouette. Every once in a while, I'm going to pull that out. Just a good graphic device. In a scene like this, where you got, in this case, there's a clone punching himself, is the original, and the sort of reptilian overlord watching. Then when you do the silhouette technique, it kind of makes him look evil, but it also adds contrast so that the focus is more on what you can see rather than what you can't see. So, tricks of the trade. It's funny because little low energy tonight. I was actually not going to stream, but several people asked me if I was going to. So I thought, if people are asking, then they want to see the stream. So you gotta make your fans happy. It's not a bad day at work. Just kind of a full day, No complaints. But I still can't. Excuse me. Like, I don't know. I come home, and right around 6 or 7, I just really need a nap. And I really don't want to do that, but it's what my body's telling me to do. And so I do. Not all the time, but I did today. And then I guess it's refreshing, If you need it, you need it, I guess. That's how it goes. Some stuff going on in my family that's a little emotionally exhausting. It's positive, but just one of those like reconciliation situations after years of suffering. So that's it's good that there's forgiveness and reconciliation, but it's also kind of like, it's a lot on your heart, pretty heavy. But something to be grateful for, a new beginning. I feel like I really don't have a lot of family left, people are either too liberal and have abandoned me, they live very far away, or they've died in the past couple of years. There was a lot of death in my family last several years. A lot of death in a lot of people's families. The jab did its job of depopulating the world, and everybody got a taste of it. And what's next? We'll see. I'm not sure I've got the best music on though. I'm kind of thinking I want to change that. Hey Craig, what's up? I did get your email. I don't. It's not the right choice for me right now in terms of what I'm doing. Um, I think that there's other people that I know that could potentially use your services. So what I will do is spread the word around. Your link, your email, and say, hey, here's a good guy in our movement who is providing these services. And if you need that, then reach out. So I will gladly try to get you connected with my network. As for myself, it's just not where I'm at the moment. I don't really want to get into my personal business stuff to online. I can tell you privately, but not in a stream. It's not bad. It's nothing weird or bad or whatever. It's just people go through different phases of whatever it is that they're doing, and there's a time when you need this and a time when you need that. But once again, I'm happy to help you out, though, to spread the word. Yeah, that's all I was asking. Not selling you anything you don't need. Just, yeah, you got it, buddy. You got it. That's really a really, really important thing in our movement is for everybody to partake in helping each other out, not to get too critical or whatever, but this is actually a pretty big discussion that I have in my personal group is just kind of how there's a certain, I guess, faction within the movement that's kind of failing at acting like they're in a movement, and a certain kind of my angle is that, like, I feel that since our people have been so brutalized for so long, that there's a type of negative psychological and sociological effect from that we've got to identify and then move on from. And it's funny because I actually have people in my group that this is a little hard for me to say, but they kind of want me to be like a spiritual leader. And that, just saying that, makes me go, "Ugh," because it's such a controversial thing to do or say. Um, I would never prop myself up in such a manner, but I will gladly talk about spiritual things. You know what I'm saying? Um, and which I do, which is kind of cool. Um, but yeah, okay, whatever. There it is. I'll just put that out there. Mm. I think if anybody likes my streams and they listen to what I have to say, they're pretty much aware of those things, stuff that I talk about and um, things I care about, etc. What do we got here? Greatly appreciated. Well, You're welcome. It's funny because I'm not really into growing my audience at this time. Um, I do have a major announcement coming. It's literally publishing this project, the Alliance. But there is a marketing team already lined up behind that, so it's going to be their job, so to speak, to do that. And I will. I think I'll just naturally get a lot of attention after that happens. After this gets launched. And some of that'll be good and some of it'll be bad. I mean, there's always lots of liberals out there that are just foaming at the mouth to find somebody to attack, and because you don't, agree with their politics or degenerate lifestyles, etc. I'm no spring chicken to that situation, but um, whatever. Whatever. I'll be focused more on positive things. Not concerned so much about that. Indeedy. I don't know. It seems to me like we're way past the whole, like, I guess, like, wokeism thing where people will come out of the woodwork to uh, like verbally assault you to somehow make you behave a certain way or something. Like, I mean, that's pretty much failed, I guess. It only works among themselves. They can police each other, but they can't police anybody outside of their stupid culture. Presumably, I mean, normies are afraid of liberals. They don't want to get canceled. Um, so they're still kind of in that zone, I suppose. Oops. It's funny because out in my out in Clubland, where I go dancing on the weekends, I did get attacked at one point by these girls who basically tried to they forced one of my friends to, like, stop talking to me. Well, it's because he, of course, succumbed to their feminine pressure, their liberal pressure. Um, but I think what they expected was that I was going to stop going out and I was going to, like, not appear on the scene anymore once they berated me, and I didn't. Yeah, I just kept going out and dancing and grooving and laughing and singing and dancing and hugging and you know uh, having just as much fun as ever. And then they kind of realized, well, like, our little assault on him didn't do any, it didn't work. He seems totally, happy and in control, and everybody loves him except us. What's wrong? Where did we go wrong? um and in the end, my buddy kind of, like, came around and started kind of being, friendly to me in front of his girlfriend and his girlfriend's girlfriend. Um, And then they came around after a while, and they're like, "Hi, hi," So it's like, it's just to me, it's like crazy, It's just crazy how stupid the whole thing is. It's just weird. I can't even, I just can't even. Um, wow. But my concern in that particular case is that, like, I want to salvage my friendship with him. Um, and I don't know. I don't live my life according to, like, I don't care what other people think. I've never been that guy. Um, but it's pretty wild, and women especially, they hold each other to these kinds of, like, standards. I guess I don't know what to call it. Like, they care a lot about, what other people say about them, and if you're conforming to the group, what have you. Um, but it doesn't work on me. It never has. It's really only ever been women that have tried to manipulate me in that kind of way. Um, Sorry, doesn't work. Oh, sorry, zoom out a little bit here. Flash Gorgon, Chatelet. You and I are the only people who still say Chatelet. Dancing is fun sometimes. Yes, sirree, Bob. Um, let's read some chats. Craig says, since marketing is such a broad term, one important thing in the movement is for marketers in our spheres to be honest with themselves and each other with what areas their specialties are in. Yes, Rooney. Okay, but it's been a long time. It's okay to care what people think, strategy, but not out of vanity. Victorian time travelers. Here, I only caught the end of what you just said about conforming to standards, but you know what's funny? I have difficulty conforming even when I want to. Wow. Um, yeah, I mean, there's something to say in terms of, like, if those are good standards, and they make sense, and kind of just organically agree with them, and you see that they work or something of that nature, that's fine. But when it's really not about standards and it's about conformity, then my American rebel spirit kicks in, and I'm very, like, fu about things, very fu about things, and whatever, it's just another day, another day in paradise. Um, but I have to say, like, those, when I'm out in normie land, in liberal land, frankly, because, like, there's a lot of liberals out in the dance scene, as you can imagine. Um, I'm I'm self conscious to an extent, in terms of, like, I'm like a openly masculine man in a world of, like, a female dominated world, with all that shit or whatever. Um, and you get looks, you do get you get tested, you get a little of this, a little of that, but I don't know, just not worried about it. That's all I can say. Not worried about it. one of the DJs just gave me free tickets to his show this weekend. Um, when I go out to shows, I vibe like super hard. I don't care, like I don't care what people think. I'm there to have fun, and I let it all out. So, and DJs love that. They're like, man, this dude is just killing it out there. Just is having a great time. And when you do that, other people around you are like, fuck yeah, man, this is the vibe. Let's go. Um, so it's fun. It's a cool thing. But I got to be honest, it is pretty cool when DJs give you tickets to their shows because they know you're like that, and they're like, I want somebody at my show who can like break the ice and get people out on the dance floor and create a good positive vibe. So that's awesome. And this particular show is in like a really really cool place. So I can't say where it is, but like the environment is just insanely cool. It's going to be neat. The one thing, the one kind of sort of different thing about this one is that the audience that goes to this DJ in this club are all very young, and so I'm not like ancient, but like most of the scene or the clubs, whatever that I go to, there's a variety of people of different ages, and it turns out though that like when you go to clubs where everyone's just about drinking age, there is more of that kind of like, how come you're not 22 or how come you're not 21? But again, it's that same thing of like, I'm just me vibing on me, I'm just having a good time. That's what it's all about. And then people are like, all right, yeah, that is what it's all about. But people are social animals, as much as I wish that were not true. Unfortunately, they look around at each other for cues about like, is this what we're supposed to be doing? Is this how we're supposed to be acting? Is this what we're supposed to be saying? And it's like it's not really thinking for yourself. Um, but whatever, we're all in different phases. Phases of evolution. All right. What does Victorian have to say? Let me back up at some comments. Um, uh, okay, because conforming. Myself as well, generally. Throughout my life, people have destroyed my potential desire to conform, especially my family. Wow. It's funny how they throw gasoline on the fire sometimes. Victorian says, that old X-Men cartoon on the pilot episode when you first see Cyclops Jubilee ask him, "Who are you?" And he says, "Cyclops, get down." I I kind of know that. I'm like, like, like the soundtrack to that opening of that cartoon is in my head, and I can see all the characters, but I don't. I'm blanking out a little bit on what they said there. Anyway, let's move on. What would be my DJ name? DJ Cyclops. Ooh, cool, nice. So at the beginning of my show, I would play that soundbite. Cyclops get down. Then I would drop the bass. Dude, you freaking rock. You freaking rock. That is sick. What a great idea. Um, I've had like a trillion ideas about like if I were to ever learn how to DJ, um, just really, really great ideas for music. There's so much older stuff that they don't, that they're just kind of ignoring. And I'm like, you guys, like, music didn't just start like 5 years ago. Like, there's massive amounts of music out there already that's insanely good. And you know, don't be biased about, like, oh well, it's gotta, if it's not from, popular DJ X, that everybody knows, then I'm not gonna listen to. Like, that's insane. So what I would do is I would kind of mix in a lot of the older stuff, like Fatboy Slim, Chemical Brothers, Underground, you know, pretty much 90s type stuff. Um, and, and other stuff. But then even beyond that, there's just all kinds of little clips that you can loop, or stuff that you can pull from, like, disco, or classic soul. Even, I mean, I'd be interested in even trying to do that with, like, some rock. Um, I've heard, like, incredible versions, like house music versions of rock songs that made me lose my mind. Like, oh my god, how this is so incredibly clever! Like, how this person figured out how to take, whatever, "We Will Rock You" or something, and then, like, turn it into a house music song. It's like crazy. One thing though that I feel really strongly about is that people really, really want to hear songs they know. And, like, I know a lot of DJs, and they're very, very, like, snobby about that. They're like, "Don't tell me what to do. I'm an artist." I'm like, make the people happy. Shut up and make the people happy. Like, you don't have to be a douchebag about it. Just, like, I mean, if people like this old song, play the fucking song. Read the damn room. People are here to have a good time. You're in charge of that. That's your job. You know, and you're blowing it. You could be, doing a much, much better job. But, oh no, I have to play the coolest, edgy new stuff. I'm so ahead of the curve. I guess, I don't know. It's so easy to criticize. Complain, complain, complain. That's all Donald Kent does. Oh, let's see. You get it. Victorian says, I just hate mumble rap that makes me want to gouge my eyes out, rupture my own eardrum. So, yeah, like trap music, I think is what you're talking about. I believe that's called trap. And it's my my opinion or take on what you call mumble rap is that it's deliberately annoying. Everything about black culture is meant to go against the norms of white culture. Like, sing clearly so we can understand what you're saying. Oh, okay. I'll just, like, I'll just mealy mouth the fucking song, and, like, blah 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 blah, and what they say, the kinds of things that they talk about, how they, like, murder the English language, like, totally twisted into some other thing. And all of it, literally, it's just an entire rebellion against us. You know, what else could it be? Yeah, I don't know. There's so many times where I'm like driving my car and I'll pull up to a stop sign, and I'll see some white kids in a car next to me, and they're listening to that shit. And I just want to yell out the window, like, "Don't listen to music," you know. Um, I'm not the kind of guy to do stuff like that, but I do want to do it though. I'll say that much. Music. Music. All right, that's true and good point. But at the core of black music, they don't like music for the sound. For them, it's just about bragging and chanting. In the current yeah, I mean, not in like classic soul and like you know, there's other kinds of black music that is it's not like that, and it's really annoying to me. Like you know, I mean, it's the whole hip hop industry and like how the who's that run it, and they literally are paid more money for the more violent songs that the more violent the lyrics are and stuff like that. It's very demented. I actually saw an interesting interview with a black hip hop guy. I don't know these guys because I don't follow that music. But it was a very, very, very upsetting interview where he was talking about being invited to some kind of well, he had to do a photo shoot for promo something something. He's some famous rapper jerk off, and they take him up some mountain, and it's in like Colorado, and they want to have a photo shoot, da da da. And then, excuse me, there's some sort of party that he's supposed to attend afterwards, and I'll just kind of cut to the chase. He he asks some questions and finds out that like he's like, how do you guys make all this money? Like this insane where does all this money come from? And then his handler said, oh, we do satanic rituals. We do demonic rituals. And he's like, no man, that's bullshit. No man, you lying, da, da, da. And excuse me, and another series of events happen. And at some point, um, this so-called sort of handler that's like got him in the car and taking him to this party where he's like, I don't want to go to this party. I want to go back to wherever. Maybe he had like jet lag and he was tired or something. He just didn't want to go. But they're like, you have to go. We're taking you against your will, basically. And then, long story short, this handler he did some kind of thing where like he changed. I don't know how to. There's a word for this where they change their face in like demonic satanic magic. They can warp their face and turn it into a different face. And I've heard of such things. I've never seen it. Um, he uh, he was like at that moment. I knew that gods and devils were real because like I saw it with my own eyes, and he was tripped out by it. He was super super tripped out by it. So take that with a grain of salt. You and I don't know, but then you think back about that woman on the airplane who flipped out about, oh, that guy's not human. Get me off this plane. That guy's not human. Do you remember that? That happened like a couple years ago, I guess. And then later they ended up finding this woman and saying, like, what did you see? And she's like, long story short, she was sort of debriefed and told that she couldn't talk about it. Like. And so it's like, okay, something's going on. Um, Here's what's even more fascinating. When I lived in Taiwan, yeah, you meet people and you talk and this and that. And one of my manager at my job, we were out drinking or whatever, and he started talking about how there's like essentially like black magic magicians in Taiwan, and that they can do things like that, like they can change their face and stuff. And that was the very first time I'd ever heard of such a thing. So it was like, that's extremely weird. It's very trippy. I'm not saying I believe it because it's like I'll believe it when I see it, but it is interesting. But I would say that like hip hop is pretty definitely like some kind of like archonic, satanic kind of thing. It's just pure violence and evil, and you know. I mean, if there's love songs or something good out there, then fine. But I think we all know this. It's not the nature of it. It's about killing niggas for money and all that shit. Um, I don't listen to music made by socioeconomic factors. That's a great way to put it. Those socioeconomic factors have really made this beat annoying, or this music annoying. It's funny. Yes. So, just tossing this out there. No, I probably shouldn't talk. That's more private. Hmm. Yeah, a lot of stuff going on in my personal life. Not bad, not like terrible or whatever, but stuffy stuff. Where you kind of like you're thinking on it a lot. You know. Um, I think that's part of why I haven't been so like into streaming and like getting all political and stuff, because there's just a lot on my plate right now. There's a couple people are in really serious. Well, they're basically dying. They have like medical issues where they're dying, and so we're kind of bracing ourselves for some uh, some of that. We don't know when. We just know that it's looming, and so that's always fun, when you have those sort of rocks that are hung around your shoulders, and you have to carry that all day. You just sort of carry that in your heart. Um, Also, I don't know. It's like a lot of us we know what's going on. We know, unless there's really something new, it's just the same old. It's like I can today in the news this happened, and I'm like, holy shit, wow, that's only happened 1,000 fucking times. Because that's their mission, is to destroy the West. That's their mission, is to humiliate, rape, rob, and kill white people. What else is new? So I feel like it's important to try to not focus on that, not because I'm ignoring it, but because it's just negative. If something comes up that I want to talk about, I'll talk about it. But in general, though, I'm kind of in a place where I don't know, maybe a little more interested in talking about UFOs or dancing or something like that, martial arts. Um, I have a sort of a buddy on the internet who is an amazing martial arts teacher. Unfortunately, he's located in Australia, But he's got a course that I'm thinking of taking, like a long distance course. It's essentially Tai Chi principles. I already use Tai Chi principles, so I'm very familiar with that, and I've integrated that in my own martial arts. I think that is maybe that's definitely one of the things that has given me an edge up on everybody else, because most people don't use what's called internal martial arts. It's more about, how hard can you hit, and how tough are you. It doesn't have any of that deeper stuff. Yeah, sorry, bro. I hear what you're saying, Victorian. Yeah, it's just kind of, at the moment I'm okay. It's like, it's there though. You know what I mean? A lot of people go through this. Um, anyway, this little demon rat character is really funny. This guy right here. It's like he's such a trope. He's just, you know. I think you know what I'm trying to say. He's funny times. All right, hold on a second. You should get a glass of water. Hold on a second, guys. All right. Oops. It's all right. Okay, let's read some chat. Yeah, it's the idea that you need to center your own people rather than being focused on other groups. It doesn't solve anything just complaining about other people all day. Yeah, 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 for sure, for sure. Um, I think there's also a kind of an alchemy to it. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like, if you're just focused on a certain thing, then you're just going to get more of that thing. That makes sense? You know what I'm saying? Um, and we need new things. We need a break. We need change. Um, yeah. And there you go. Okay. Haha, it's funny how you can just look at a character and imagine his voice and personality. Like that little fella right there. Yeah, for sure, for sure. Okay, fine, for sure, for sure. There's just something about this, the way that I drew that, I really like. It's just so evil, it's just like so evil. Clown World. This character's called Clown World. whatever could that mean? Where could that have come from? Clown World. It's funny because, like, when this graphic novel was written, those tropes, memes, expressions were much, much more common. And, like, so much time has passed. Not so much time has passed. What I'm saying is, like, too much changes in such a short period of time. Like memes and slang expressions. It turns out those things change fairly quickly. So, like, this, not that those things are forgotten or out of date. Like, if you say clown world, most everybody will know what you're saying. It's just not in as much usage as it used to be. You know what I mean? Um, Whoa! Talk about a delicate line. I picture his hair as being like flame-like in a sense. It's in when this is colored, his hair has rainbow colors. It's like separated into the colors of the rainbow. Um, but you guys remember Heatmeister from those old Christmas animations? I sort of had him in mind a little bit with that. He's sort of a Clown World Heatmeister type character. Hmm. I had an interesting experience recently. I met a gentleman a white guy who lived and traveled in Asia for a long time and made a lot of stories to share. He was more in Southeast Asia, which I don't have that much experience with, but we shared lots of stories. Craig says a lot of language that is popular online is not popular offline. When I used to try saying SJW to vagues or normies in the past, all look, all- they, they are all like, I don't know what that is. Even moderate conservatives, but I started calling them anti-white, and they immediately knew what I meant. Um, I mean, if you just say social justice warrior, they'll probably have a sense of what you're talking about. But yeah, even now, like on my normie account, I post stuff that I know nobody understands because they're all normies. They don't get it. And like it's kind of, I don't know, just have a little fun with it. There's a few people out there that are like secret based right wingers, and they know what I'm saying. They kind of get a kick out of that. I guess it's just a thing. All right. Mm, all right. I came up with a parody of the song Heatmeister, but it's called Pipe Smoker. Huh. Is it appropriate for this show or I don't know. Got something in my eye. What are we doing on time? It's almost 9. Man, where does the time go? Where does the time go? I appreciate you guys coming and hanging out. I'm probably going to wrap it up, though, just because it's been an hour already. Yeah, I believe that is what it is. So I read that. Okay. I want to thank you guys for joining, hanging, talking. Um, Not the most exciting stream I've ever had, but lots of good art here and good people. So I will send you on your way with good wishes. Be good, stay close to God, and keep your chin up. All right, gang, have a good one, and see you on the internet.